cabin shook violently, luggage tumbling from overhead bins. Screams tore through the aisle as oxygen masks dropped, swinging like nooses above pale, terrified faces. And then I saw him. Just a few rows ahead, calm, still, untouched by fear. The same man I had seen for months, appearing where he didn't belong. His face so plain it should have been forgettable. Yet it carved itself into me like a scar. Slowly, his arm lifted, his finger extended, pointing at the window. I finally understood. And by then, it was already too late. But it had started long before this night. It was late afternoon, the sky heavy with gray clouds. The kind of day where everything feels muffled. I sat halfway down the bus, earbuds in, scrolling through my phone. That's when I noticed him, across the aisle, staring at me. His face was nothing, no expression, no presence, and yet his eyes felt like nails. And then, slowly, his arm rose. His finger pointed at the front door. I turned away quickly, cheeks hot. Some creep. Ignore him. 2 stops later, the bus screeched violently. Tires screamed, people lurched forward. A truck had clipped the front corner. The door he'd pointed at shattered in a spray of glass. A passenger cried out, blood streaming from his cheek. My stomach flipped. I looked back, but the seat was empty. I told myself it was coincidence. Nothing more. A week later, I ducked into a cafe near work. The place was nearly empty, just a hum of the fridge and a bitter smell of coffee. I set my laptop down, trying to catch up on emails. And then I felt it. That pressure, that weight. He was outside, in the drizzle, face pale under the streetlight, motionless, watching me. My pulse raced. I tried to act normal, to breathe. His arm lifted. He pointed, not at me, but at the napkin on the next table. Someone had scrawled a time across it in blue ink, 11:45. I shoved my laptop into my bag, nearly spilling my coffee. My hands shook so badly the cup rattled on the table. I didn't look back as I hurried out, convincing myself I'm overreacting. It's nothing. The next morning, I walked past the cafe and froze. Fire trucks lined the street, spraying water into the charred remains. The air reeked of smoke and something chemical, something sharp that stung my throat. Through the broken window, I saw the wall clock, frozen at 11:45. My skin prickled. I remembered the napkin. I forced the thought out. Stress, just stress. Natalie stirred her coffee, smiling. "You look awful, Em. You need sleep." I tried to smile back. Maybe. But then I froze. Outside the window behind her, in the rain, he was there again. Still, pale, eyes locked on me. His arm lifted, finger extended toward the intersection across the street. My throat closed. "Nat," I whispered, "don't move suddenly. Do you see that man?" Right behind you, she turned, glanced casually, her brows knitted. "Emma." There's no one there. A shiver crawled down my spine. I pushed back my chair. "I'll prove it." I rushed outside, heart pounding, eyes scanning the sidewalk. And I saw him, or thought I did. A figure walking away, shoulders hunched, coat dark with rain. "Hey!" I shouted, running after him. My voice cracked. "Stop!" The man turned. A stranger. Startled, frowning, my chest heaved. My skin burned with embarrassment. I muttered an apology and spun back toward the cafe. And that was when the world split open. A truck swerved across the slick street. Tires screamed, metals shrieked. It plowed into the cafe's glass front, an explosion of shattering windows and collapsing wood. People screamed inside. I stumbled forward, choking on my breath. Through the broken glass, I saw Natalie, crumpled beneath twisted beams, her coffee still steaming on the table beside her. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My ears rang with silence so loud it hurt. And when my eyes darted back to the street, he was gone. Days blurred into nights. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. When the business trip came, I almost canceled. But I told myself I had to go. I had to prove life was still normal. Chicago O'Hare buzzed with fluorescent light, rolling suitcases, monotone announcements. My suitcase wheels rattled behind me. I was so tired my body felt hollow. And then I froze. He stood across the hall, still, watching. His arm rose, slow, inescapable, pointing at the glowing departure board. My knees wavered. I wanted to run, to scream. Instead, I forced myself to look away, muttering under my breath, "I won't let him ruin this trip." And I walked toward my gate. The boarding process felt endless, a blur of bodies shuffling down the narrow aisle. I dragged my feet, eyes darting, searching every row. He wasn't there. For the first time in weeks, I breathed. Maybe he was gone. Maybe I had left him behind in O'Hare. I sank into my seat by the window. The hum of engines vibrated through the floor, a low, steady heartbeat. A flight attendant smiled mechanically, pointing at the exits, reciting safety instructions none of us listened to. I told myself this was it. This was normal. The man was just a phantom my mind had conjured in grief and exhaustion. I would land in one piece. I would start over. That's what I told myself. The plane climbed. City lights vanished below, swallowed by cloud. The cabin dimmed to a pale glow, passengers settling into uneasy silence. I pressed my forehead to the window, forcing myself to watch the nothingness outside. And then I saw him. Not in the aisle, not outside the glass, but sitting a few rows ahead. Plain, still, exactly where he shouldn't be. No one noticed him. The man beside him flipped through a magazine. A child dozed against her mother's arm. Life went on as if he were invisible, but not to me. His head turned slightly, deliberate, locking onto my eyes through the rows. That same ordinary, unforgettable face, that unbearable emptiness, and slowly, as always, his arm rose. His finger pointed, not at me, not at the door, but at the oval window by his side. Black sky, thin clouds, nothing else. A tremor rippled through the plane. I clenched the armrest until my nails ached. It began as a bump. Passengers laughed nervously, a ripple of small voices trying to convince themselves it was normal. Then came another jolt, harder. Overhead bins rattled. A cup of soda toppled, spilling into the aisle. Gasps replaced laughter. The seatbelt sign blinked red. A flight attendant's voice cracked through the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated," before static swallowed the rest. And still, he sat there, calm, his finger unwavering. My stomach lurched as the cabin dropped violently. Oxygen masks spilled from above, dangling, twisting like pale fruit, or like nooses. Screams tore through the air. I remembered the bus, the cafe, Natalie, every gesture, every finger pointing toward disaster. He hadn't been warning me. He had been showing me where the next piece of my life would break. My chest heaved, lungs starved of air, though the mask dangled inches from me. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. All this time I thought I was a witness, that he was some cursed prophet, forcing me to watch others fall. But it had never been about them. It had always been leading here. My vision blurred with tears as I whispered, "Please, not me." The man tilted his head, expression unreadable, and for the first time, I thought I saw something flicker across his blank face. Not malice, not pity. Something colder. Inevitability. And then the world ripped open. Metal shrieked like a dying animal. Luggage exploded from the overheads, striking bodies, bouncing across the aisle. The floor heaved, the ceiling dropped, lights shattered, plunging everything into strobe-lit chaos. People clutched each other, masks pressed to their faces, prayers tangled with screams. But I couldn't look away. My eyes locked on him, steady through the storm, a fixed point in the madness. He sat there, calm as stone, his fingers still aimed at the window, as if marking the place where everything would end. For the first time, I understood. He was never warning me. He was waiting for me. Darkness swallowed the cabin, and the rest was silence. If this story unsettled you, leave a like and let the shadows know. Subscribe for more tales you shouldn't hear after dark. And if you've seen something you can't explain, tell us in the comments. We're always listening.